So the topic today, let's talk about the topic. So the topic today is how important are family values in today's society. We're going to look at it from a cultural standpoint, our values disappearing in modern society. Now, think about this discussion today. Think about it that way, but also think about how the type of family unit or family structure, defines who we are. Yesterday we had a really good discussion. For example, I think towards the end we were having discussion about if a a couple adopted a child, what would be some of the challenges with that situation. We talked about single parenting from a grandparent standpoint,
Division.
how these things, basically help to, instill certain values or define who we are. Okay, potentially define who we are. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about today. So keep an open mind as we talk about it. Okay, we all have different opinions about some things, but keep an open mind to what we talk about. It's really important. I actually got Jamila and Johnny. I actually got Amin and Babuti, who both come from obviously Muslim majority countries, to in general agree upon the principles of gay relationships. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
How'd you manage that, Rick?
Huh?
How did you manage that, Rick?
Well, I got them to agree that people should have their own lifestyle choices.
Yeah,
They might not agree with that choice, but they agree with the idea that people have the choices. They may not agree with it, which is fine. That's fine. People don't have to agree with everything, as we always talk about. So that was kind of interesting. We also, in one of the scenarios, Amin became a single dad, so that was kind of interesting.
Yep.
So he had a 9-year-old boy he was raising by himself in the scenario. So that was kind of interesting. Actually, it was very, yeah. I think you can imagine that one, huh?
Yeah.
He was getting advice from Babuti on how to raise a boy, okay? So anyway, I see Bijan's also here. So hello, Bijan.
Bijan.
Hello.
How are you?
Hello.
Hello, Jamie.
How are you?
Hello.
I'm just fine. Everything okay.
Good. Happy to hear that.
Happy to join you again.
Okay. Well,
Eid
welcome.
al-Adha Mubarak. Yeah, Adha Mubarak. Happy Eid al-Adha.
Allah sa'adakum.
Yeah.
Okay. Babuti has also joined us. Hey, Babuti.
Hey, Rick, how are you?
Good. I was just explaining to everybody how yesterday you were giving advice to Amin about raising a child, okay?
Yeah. That was quite interesting.
Actually, we had some very interesting discussions tomorrow, or not tomorrow, yesterday.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we had some pretty interesting ones. I think Jamie, you and Matthias had a session or had a role playing about moving out from your parents, right?
Yeah.
Then me and Catherine had a discussion about what to do with our parents when they're getting older. Okay,
Yeah.
as brother. Yesterday, Catherine was my sister, my Chinese sister. Okay.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting.
Yes.
What?
Okay.
What? Oh, gotta go, guys.
Okay.
All right, let's see you later.
Okay. Bye, Jamie.
Bye.
All right. So let's go ahead and begin. Like I said, I'm not going to be able to. I have to leave in probably about 40 minutes, 45 minutes to go meet someone and drop off some paperwork. So I have to do that in about 45 minutes. So again, one more time. Let me go through who's here, then we'll begin. So Rashid, James. Oh no, Jamie's not here. Rashid, Saif, Johnny, Jamila, Bijan, and Babuti. And Hiroki just joined us. So hello, Hiroki.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I am fine, thank you.
Oh, nice to hear that. Always wonderful to hear that.
Thank you.
So for Johnny and Jamila, Catherine won't join us today. Katarina won't join us today. She's actually at an amusement park right now with my mom and my sister-in-law and my nephew, so she won't join us today. And she unfortunately didn't join us yesterday, so I need to Okay, anyway, we'll talk about that later. Okay, so before we begin, any questions about the topic? Does everybody understand I'm going to stop doing video Fridays here pretty soon because most of the time it's just me, okay? Or Jamie, okay? Or Mila when she's here, okay? Or sometimes Jamila. And Safe once upon a time until he got chided for laying down and sleeping, okay? While he was doing it, okay?
Well, I was about to do video, but because he said sometimes, then I won't.
Yeah, no. Hi, everyone.
Hey, Safe.
I'm not lying, or I'm just having my dinner now.
Oh, and you don't want to show it to us because that would be rude to show it while you're eating?
Hey, I have very tasty food.
Oh, I'm
roast
sure you
chicken, roast beef, yes, and spaghetti. Yes, a lot of food.
Oh my gosh, good for you. Good for you. Maybe okay, so let's go ahead.
Yes, keep the conversation going. I will come later on.
Okay. All right. Okay, thank you, Safe. Okay, Rashid, let's begin with you. What do you think about the topic? Okay, all we heard was okay.
Can you hear?
Okay, now we hear you.
Okay. I suppose the topic of today is family, type of family, and how many valuables of family can be, and etc. etc. And I as a sociology student, when I was student of university,
Mm-hmm.
we were told from our teachers that once upon a time, people used to form a sort of family where two females, were member of family, and one lady would be used to be identified as men, while other women used to be identified by mothers, by in the society.
Mm-hmm.
And interestingly, we asked our professor, okay, but how they did how they produce children in that case? And he told us in that case, they arranged. They just used to give chance to any men to produce child in that family, and automatically one lady used to be father and another lady used to be mother. But for producing a child, they used to take help from a man. And many types of family was there. So but I'm not sure whether that sort of family is still now in the world or not. But the family values are all the same in our country. Our families, once upon a time, most of the families were standard in urban and rural areas, but nowadays in our urban areas, families are going to be nuclear. And that's all.
Okay, let me make sure I understood what you said. So you were saying that, and I think you're saying in your country or somewhere there was a group of people and it was predominantly women, and women would serve the model of both the man and the woman, but obviously a woman needs help to become pregnant and have children. So, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
In our region, it happened in some areas, like in Europe and in other countries.
Okay.
Not in, but that's all.
Okay, so the point that you're saying that's really interesting, Rashid. So the point you're saying is that, of course, there's a biological function that requires a man and a woman, or through artificial insemination, or other medical practices, okay, to create a child. But in terms of the parenting responsibilities, it didn't matter whether it was a man or a woman, right?
Sorry?
Okay. So you're saying obviously for a woman to have a child, it requires some biological, physiological interaction. Okay. So that's one. Okay, so that's one part. The second part, though, is in terms of parenting a child, it didn't really matter whether or not there were both sexes there.
Yeah. I mean, that didn't matter.
Okay. Yeah.
There was a prerequisite that in the society they needed to be recognized in the society and by the kings of society, by the what's the high ups in the society.
Okay. Well, no. And I've heard, and there are cultures around the world that to this day still practice this kind of approach. There's one, and I forget, it's in Africa, but there's an ethnic group in Africa, or I don't know if it's an ethnic group or a subgroup, but there's a group of people in Africa, for example, that the women raise the children, and the only interaction between the men and women is obviously the act of creating a child, right? But that's it. So there's the sexual aspect in terms of creating the child, but the actual parenting of the child is done by the women. Okay, so you can see even in today's society, in some parts of the world, that this is so it really kind of makes us think about, again, there are some aspects that require men and women, but there are some aspects that maybe don't require men and women. Okay, so that's actually an interesting point. Anybody have a question for Rashid? I thought that's very interesting. No questions for Rashid? No? Okay.
I just to make sure I understand the topic, because maybe you turned it into this kind of gay marriage issue, or right?
Well, no, it wasn't supposed to be gay marriage specifically. It's supposed to be about different parenting, different family units or structures.
Okay.
Yeah, and how they relate to.
I mentioned this point because I like to show you that there are many types of families, or there were at least many types of families in the world. Women family, men family, and they use, I think nowadays also, gay marriage, who are married to gay, they try to adopt child for them. And I think it's still practiced in developed countries, I suppose, more or less.
Yeah. Well, I think Jamila, the point was to, we talked about this yesterday quite a bit. The point about the idea of what are the values, if you think in terms of a child, just for a second, if you think in terms of the child and what most people would agree are the values a child needs to learn, and normally they learn it from the environment they grow up in, which is from their parents or uncles or aunts, et cetera. Okay, those values that they learn are not tied to a man or woman, etc. So the values they learn, and I wrote down 4 of them from yesterday: trust, responsibility, communication, and honesty, right?
Okay, so maybe, is that your point? Is that...
Our family doesn't need a man. I mean, it can be woman and woman. It can be formed by two men. So it doesn't mean that men and women will be needed to form a family.
I,
That's why I mentioned this.
I agree 100% with you. What are you going to say, Jamila?
Okay, I just wanted to make sure if that was your point or his point. Yeah.
No, I think he just said that was his point.
Okay, so Rashid, you basically think that you don't need both, like men and women, to form just between brackets a healthy family environment. You don't need that.
Not my opinion. It is
Mhm.
sort of it is opened. I think it's correct wording, right? It's opened by many sociologists that for forming family, for giving parenting to children, I mean, all parents will be male, or all parents will be female and male, and it's not correct. So it can be either male and female parenting. It can be both. It can be both parenting, female and men parenting. It can be either. I mean, it can be both female and female parenting. That's why it's not my opinion. It is opinion was I mean stated by some sociologists. Yeah, and that's fine.
I see. Okay.
Hey, that's a very interesting view, Rashid. And actually, I'm not going to say I'm surprised, but I'm actually I'm trying to find the right word, the right adjective to describe. Not surprised. I'm happy that you have an open mind like that. Okay. Whether you personally agree with something or not doesn't mean that a person can have an open mind about something, right? There's a difference. So okay, very well done, Rashid. Very well done. Okay, so let me see, we lost Jamie. Saif is probably still eating his chicken and other food. Johnny. Actually,
Yeah.
I think Jamila was next, but Johnny, if you want to go.
What expression you use? Overmind. Sorry, I couldn't understand. Could you just speak overmind?
Say that again, please, Rashid.
You just used an expression overmind.
No, open mind. Open.
Oh, okay. Sorry. It's
Okay.
mind.
Okay. Go ahead, Johnny.
I need a question.
Johnny, are you here?
Yeah. The topic is too general, so I need a question, a specific
You
question.
have a question for Rashid?
No. I need a question
Oh.
in order to speak about this topic because it's too general. You get me?
Oh.
Okay. No, I don't. But I mean, I get you, but I don't understand you. Okay. Well, I mean, I can go and because you said you need a question.
Yeah,
okay,
I need the topic to be narrow.
You don't have an idea of.
I have a lot of ideas, a lot of opinion, depending on what we are talking about. Since the topic is not specific, it could be about everything. So I need it to be a little bit more narrowed down to one specific topic.
Well, okay. Well, like I said.
I think it's open because just like Rashid did, he just made the decision to narrow it down and just provide one example. I think you can do the same thing.
Well, I guess. I mean,
no.
I could go with a to answer my own question the way that I originally proposed the topic. Can anyone just turn out fine if he or she didn't grow up in an ideal family environment? And that means ideal, having a mother, a father, siblings, people who were supportive, people who were really a family, united and so on. If a person didn't have that, can that person still, grow up well and turn out just fine? And I would say yes, it can. He or she can. It all depends on the person. And I mean, if he or she didn't have the ideal surrounding, the support of their family, I think that person can still have the same thing elsewhere. It doesn't have to be specifically only the family who provides the best environment to grow up. I think either you make it yourself, or you rely on something else, maybe like friends, or your partners, on other people. Doesn't have to be necessarily specifically mom and daddy.
Okay. Okay. And that's a good point. And I think this kind of does relate back to the point about, how does the family unit or structure you grew up in, how does that affect you in terms of, your emotional health and other factors as well, right? So you okay? So
I'd like to ask a question to Johnny.
Sure.
Go ahead, Rashid. Go ahead.
Johnny, do you mean that family is not required for teaching values to people? I mean, only family. It is not. I think you like to say that it is not only. It is not. Family is not a factor, only a factor for teaching values to the people, to the person. A person can learn values, social values, from their friends, from their something like partner, or from their other organs in the society, isn't it?
Something like that. I didn't say if family is not required. In order for a person to learn values, or to have principles, leaving aside how you build your own values, because I think that not necessarily you have to learn it from something. You can have your own experiences, and you can shape your own values. You can have your own mind process and come up with your own values. You don't necessarily have to inherit it from somebody else. But leaving aside that point, my point was that yes, family is the first source of these learning experiences. They are the first one to teach you things. They are the first one to show you things. But my point is that it's not the only source. You can still learn the same things from somewhere else if you don't have that.
Yeah, and what do you think? I see in our surrounding, I see some people who are from low educated and low class families, but when they grow up, nobody will understand that those people are from low class, or uneducated and unethical families. No one can understand mixing with those people. Sometimes it is called as rough in the diamond. So what do you think about it?
I don't get your point. What does low caste and poor family have to do with anything?
Low caste in some uncultured families. In other words, although it is not it's a bit rude expression. Some people, some children are when they grow up very much smartly, and they grow with good mentality. But their origin, which family they belong to, their families were conventionally, most of the in the society were recognized as uncultured and uncivilized family, but they grew them up in smart way and in decent way, as like it can be, which can be described as rough in the diamond. So, what's your opinion about those people who didn't take values of their so-called families?
I honestly don't understand your point.
Yeah, I get his point, and I think you've already addressed it. To be honest,
Mhm.
basically, Rashid, I think that because Johnny did address it. What he said was it doesn't. Well, hopefully, it shouldn't matter whether you are uneducated or you are raised in a poor family. Values don't only belong to people that are educated or people that have money. Okay. So
Right.
I think that's a big mistake people make is they automatically associate. I really have a strong opinion against that. That's very, very wrong, I think. Uh, as a matter of fact, I would say in many cases, people that are poor probably have more values than people that have money. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
so I don't think wealth or material success has anything to do with value. Now I would agree maybe education in some cases, not in all, but in some cases, because through education you learn to open your mind up to certain things. Okay, which means that you maybe are more open to different things and more, learn to become more compassionate or empathize because you understand things. But certainly material
Just
success has
I like to,
nothing
I like
to
to
do.
conclude myself. Just a minute. Yeah, I like to draw conclusion.
Okay,
Suppose your
well, here you
father,
go. Uh-huh.
yeah, suppose your father is a thief. Just for example, your father is a robber, but you could establish yourself in the society as as a wise person, as good a person of good character. But your parents were very were notorious in the in the underground, or were very much bad character. But you could build up your good character, being children of those bad parents. That's the thing I try to say to Johnny. Anyway, I think we can move on. Anyway.
Yeah, and Johnny, I think you would agree. I think you said this already, but you would agree that,
Yes.
our parents don't determine who we are. Or
Correct.
lack of parents don't determine who we are.
Yes.
It could be a factor, it could be a strong factor, but it by itself doesn't necessarily determine who we are or who we grow up to be.
What do you mean exactly by this term? They don't determine who we are. What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean by they don't determine our character and who we become as an adult. Growing up in an environment, you can have a father that's an alcoholic. You can have a mother, a father that are, maybe not great in terms of parenting, and even maybe are neglectful, etc. But that doesn't mean that you're going to grow up to be neglectful, or you're going to grow up. Now it can have an influence on you. It can, yeah, and a negative influence on you. Sure, it can. But that by itself doesn't determine who you'll be as an individual when you grow up.
What is the phrase, Rick? The apple doesn't
Does that
fall
make
too
sense?
far from the tree, something like that.
Or yeah, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's in conflict with
And
that
and,
saying,
and
right?
in some cases that might. Yeah, yeah, it is in conflict. I mean, in some cases there is a strong influence. Okay, and you can look at again data. You look at the statistics, and you'll see that in some situations, some children are predisposed. If they grow up in an environment where there's physical abuse, if they grow up in an environment where there's emotional abuse, then often that child, as they grow up, will also have some of these, characteristics in their relationships. Okay, and data will prove that. There's data out there that will prove that. But that doesn't mean that every individual that grows up in that environment is going to be, an abuser. That doesn't mean that. It just means that maybe because of the influence, you could be predisposed to it. Okay, but it doesn't mean that you're going to end up like that. Okay, that's the point, right?
Well, I think it's like the
What,
lack
what
of
do you?
other influences makes you be like that. It's like if it is the only thing you ever know, if you are that kind of child that is always uh, in your house and that's the only thing that you see every day and you're not exposed to a different kind of environment, then that's the only thing that you learn.
Hmm.
um, there is also the point that it is unavoidable to be like that, and there is a point that um, when you see something that you don't like, you choose to be something different. For example, if you see that your parents, it is in a certain way, and you don't like it, you would say, well, I will never be like my father, I will never be like my mother, I want to be different. And so there is the choice. But when you don't have that choice, like, it's just what you saw every day, you weren't supposed to other things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very good point. Yes, it's
Okay.
very logical. Yeah, I support it.
Okay.
Wholeheartedly.
Okay, so let's go. I want to try and get through as many people as I can before I myself personally have to leave again. It doesn't mean that we're going to stop. It just means I have to go. Jamila, did you want to say something? I think you were next.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, this is funny because tomorrow here in France it's the gay pride, and I have a lot of friends that are gay, and I'm a volunteer in an association, but still I hesitate to go, to be honest, because while I do support some aspects of their how can I say that, of their struggle, if we can call this, if we can call it that way. I, however, not necessarily agree with other aspects. So, well, to say that I'm a traditional person in this area, meaning that I'm very attached to the traditional family, to traditional values, and I do see a lot of, a huge change, and for example, the increase of values like individualism inside the family, which was not the case a decade ago. For example, the family was supposed to work as a team, and not having you were not supposed to have an individual in the family working for himself. So maybe I'm wrong, but I think in Asian families and in the Middle East, it is still the case. You are more likely to find traditional families, meaning a mother, a father, kids, right? But if you go towards Europe, European countries, if you go to the United States, if you go, I'm not sure about Latin America because I don't have a lot of information, but I think you are more likely to find the new family units, and a different family structure, whether single parents, whether how do we call this? I know in French it's okay. So, for example, when people divorce and they get married again, so their two families get
It's called blended.
Yes. Yes. So you have this kind of family unit. So you have a lot of new structures, which is something very now I think in maybe in the Middle East, in North Africa, and even in Asia, we are more familiar with this with those new families, but I'm not sure we are ready to welcome this into our societies, into our cultures. It's very challenging because we are still, and I think it's not necessarily automatically and always tied to religion. This is just cultural. It is just cultural because because, for example, the way I was raised, I never had, for example, my mother tell me, okay, this is what religion says. This is what this is what is mentioned in the Quran. No, she would always emphasize and make sure I understand that this is the culture. This is how we do it. This is how things work. So I never tied those things to religion, but rather to culture. And to me, that's different. Maybe it's not for some people, but to me, it is very different. So I think, yes, I don't know. To me, I think I wouldn't use dangerous, but I'm trying to find another word to define this. Because maybe, I don't know, maybe because it was the only family structure I knew and I was close to, because obviously I don't know, for example, gay couples. I don't know. I never was in the intimacy of a couple like this one, so I cannot judge. I cannot tell. I don't know kids that grew up in those kind of family structures, but from what I read, I know that when a kid grows up without a mother or father, there is something missing. Because I truly believe, and that is only my opinion again, I truly believe that both, they have a contribution. I mean, for example, what I can give to my child as a mother is different from what his father could give him and provide. In terms of values, for example, we are talking about values. So I think it's different. So, for example, I would say my mother, she taught me the importance of family, the importance of sacrifice, being patient. For example, school, she was like, oh my God, she was like, I mean, you have to go to school, you have to study every day. But my father, because he saw my mother doing that, so he was like, okay, that's her business. So I would just focus on other things. So, for example, my father, he just taught me the importance of hard work, right? And again, also family, because he made a lot of sacrifices for his family, us, and also his brothers, his sisters. So I think both. And also what, emotionally speaking, so my mother was more like caring. She was loving. She was tough when she had to also. And my father, he was more like, he was the stability. He was like, I could feel that, okay, if he disappears, that wouldn't work, okay. And I also see that with my father, because he never knew his mother. She just passed away 2 months after his birth. So I know that he even emotionally, he missed so much because of that, because he never knew his real mother. So I mean, he grew up not knowing how to express not himself, but his emotions. He's quite tough sometimes. So I don't know. He just maybe didn't receive all that love and caring that a mother can give to a kid. I mean, you've raised your daughter, and I think you would agree that it's different, right? And in your case, I guess it's different because I think we talked about this a few weeks ago, because she had a mother figure, right?
Yeah. My mom helped her. Her grandmother helped her.
Yes, but just imagine in a case where a kid would grow up not having this, what I would call 50%, right?
Yeah.
The female 50%.
Yeah.
So, well, to me, I think in that sense, I am very traditional. I'm very attached to that. And I also think that values in modern families are not necessarily the best one. I wouldn't say good, because we're all free to do whatever we want, to raise our kids the way we want. But I think maybe they are not the best, because maybe a lot of people, they raise their kids to be too competitive. Maybe you need to be successful, you need to achieve that. I think achievement to me is becoming a very pejorative word, meaning negative word, because we're teaching our kids to, if you don't achieve something, you're not successful. So, yeah.
I have a comment for that.
Oh my gosh, that was a lot.
I have a comment and a question.
Go for it, Johnny. Go for it.
First my comment, then my question, if that's okay. I guess what the point, that when a kid has the mother figure, that would affect him, make him a little bit softer, perhaps, more sensitive and things like that. Here in my culture, my city, in my country, in the entire country, I see people who have both, who have mother and father, and they are as dry as any other. The mother figure doesn't change anything, if he's not sensitive, it doesn't matter if he has a mother. No, he will not be sensitive. Even if he or she has it. For example, I have my two nephews, and they had their mother, my sister, and they're very much aggressive. They are nothing at all sensitive, and they only live with their mother, because my sister, their mother is very aggressive, and she's very arrogant and has a very strong personality, and that passes on their kid. So I think that if a man is more sensitive, or more prompt to be more sympathetic towards the feminine side, it would be because of how the personality of the mother is, not just because she is a woman, or there is a woman in the family. I think it depends on how she is as a person. Even a father can teach, to be sensitive to their boys, to be more empathetic or sympathetic, I don't know, towards females in general. It just depends on how the parent is. And my question would be, if you can answer this, you were talking about values, and when you have two different cultures, and some of these values have to do with culture more than religion. What if you are in a relationship where your counterpart is from a different culture, and even though there are differences, you may want to negotiate some of these. You may be flexible with some things, you may concede something, and you may be unflexible with other things. Would you answer it? What would be your most important value, your most important principle that for you is not negotiable when you have a partner whose values are more often, complete opposite? What is the one thing you would say, no, this has to be in the way that I want?
But that's a good question, because I do remember, my ex-boyfriend, he was not from the same culture, and for a long time I was thinking, okay, that's okay, you can live with that. But for example, I would say my kids have to speak my language. It doesn't mean they wouldn't learn his language too, but to me, that's no negotiable, because I do believe when you learn a language, you learn a lot about the culture. So to me, that's very important. And he was like, no. So to me, that no. I'm open to be in a relationship where a man has a different culture, and I think it's interesting. But if the person is not ready to welcome my culture, meaning, for example, my language, my traditions, that's a no.
It's a no-no. Okay. Is it the only one?
Yes,
Okay.
it's a no-no.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's the only one, because I think other than that, if we look deeply, a lot of cultures have a lot in common. We do have differences, but a lot of cultures have a lot in common.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not complicated, you guys. Don't think that.
So I think, Johnny, you that was your question. Okay, did you have something else you said you want to say?
No, that's it.
I think Jamila doesn't answer his question, but anyway.
Well, it's interesting. It's interesting what Jamila said, because I firmly believe that again, it's not. We share more in common than we don't. Okay, people need to get beyond this. Oh, we're so different. You have a different religion. You look different. No, we share more in common. Okay, in terms of the basic values than people would like to think. So I agree 100% that it's important. I've been in various multicultural relationships, and I always, even with my daughter, her grandparents on her mother's side didn't speak English. Okay, and I learned their language, and I try to teach my daughter their language. because I thought it was important from a cultural standpoint. I thought it was very important to respect both sides. And I think that, any multicultural or any other type of relationship, it could be based upon religion, it could be based upon culture. I think it's about mutual respect. Okay, that's what it comes down to. If we have mutual respect, then we're going to want our children to learn. We're going to want certain things to happen. Anybody, in my opinion, that engages in a relationship with somebody else from a different culture and tries to make them think like them and everything else, that's probably not going to work out.
Yeah.
Because if you believe strongly, that doesn't mean you can't come to a middle ground, because sometimes you do. You have people that are of different faiths. Maybe one's a Christian, one's a Muslim. Okay, they may choose together to raise their children a certain way. Okay, but that's an agreement between them because they respect each other. Okay.
Yeah.
So.
And for example, if you compare, I don't know a lot about other cultures, but for example, in my culture, when my parents will grow up, or my father and my mother-in-law, that's natural to have them with us, live with us. We don't even have those, how do we call them?
Oh, yeah, like retirement homes. Or,
yes.
No.
That doesn't exist in my culture. No. That's a shame. I mean, if you put your mother or your father in those places, that's a big shame.
Yeah.
So this is, again, cultural. It's not religious. It is cultural.
Yeah.
But in Europe, because they teach the kids how to be independent, autonomous.
Right.
So obviously they just don't do that. They don't raise, in a way, their parents. So.
Yeah. No, and I think that's an important point that you have to, again, I think if you're in a relationship with somebody, you have to be open-minded enough to accept who they are, and who they are is partially based upon their culture. And you might find areas of agreement where there is some level of compromise, okay, but our core values, I use this term a lot in my other job, our core values are important. So if somebody has a core value, and they're not willing to adjust from that, then you have a choice. Either you stay or you don't. Okay, it's pretty black and white. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, very interesting. Okay, so let's go. Thank you, Jamila. Let's go. Actually, I'm going to have to maybe go in a few minutes. So if you guys don't mind, I'm going to give my opinion real quickly, because if I have to go, I want to make sure I get an opportunity to say something as well. So this is, first of all, this is a really, really interesting topic, I think. And yeah, Johnny, the way it's phrased right now is pretty open. And I think, again, that's so people can engage with different ideas about it. So it's not too limiting. But the point that I think you originally were looking at when we talked about this topic in the beginning, I think that's an important point as well, which is, how does the environment, we grow up in, or does the environment we grow up in determine who we become as an adult? Okay. And the first thing I want to say is, to me, what is important in life? And I believe, this is Rick's opinion, of course, I believe it's important for somebody to be emotionally stable and healthy as an adult. Okay, obviously, whether a person has an education or not, that's a choice. In some cases, that's a choice. I don't use that for or against, because to me, again, values go beyond your education. They go beyond the circumstances you're born into. Okay. But to me, in order for us to think about children and the way children are raised into adults, okay, they need to be nurtured in an environment. Now, some parents, some people, in terms of relationships, they get together for economic reasons, right? Some people get together for safety and security reasons. Okay, they feel secure or they feel safe by being in the relationship. Okay. Okay, so when we think about why people are in relationships, it's usually one of those things. Either there's an emotional attachment, and these other factors, or in some cases, it's only these other factors. Maybe there isn't the emotional attachment as much. Okay. So there's different reasons why people become, whether it's two men together, two women together, okay, whether it's step parents, and stepchildren, or a blended family. Okay, but we know that children grow up in all kinds of environments today. Okay, and this is true and pretty much across the world. In some cases, there may be less gay parents in some countries, but there are still single parents. And in some countries where the grandparents may take a large role. So when we think about this topic, don't limit yourself to one type of family, because I think if you do that, then you're missing the point of this discussion. Okay. The next thing I want to say is that, I want to go with something that Johnny said earlier. Okay. Some of us, myself, I grew up, with my mom raising us. I didn't really know my dad that well growing up. He wasn't around that much. So I really didn't have that father figure in my life. Okay. I raised my daughter as a single dad. She really didn't have her mother around much. Yes, as Jamila said, I had friends that helped me, female friends that helped me. I had my mom around. So I did have that, and my daughter did have that. Okay, but it was still, that's why my daughter learned how to fish and shoot a gun before she learned how to use makeup. Okay. All right. Okay. So I think that, we do have to look at this a little bit differently. To me, the most important thing is going back to the values that we want our children to understand in order to be an emotionally healthy adult, okay, and I don't want to use the word productive member of society because that sounds too high, but in terms of being healthy, okay. So one, again, is they need to learn trust. Two, they need to learn responsibility. Three, they need to learn about communicating. And fourth, they need to learn about honesty and also love and compassion and these things as well. Okay, that's what I believe a child needs in order to become an emotionally healthy adult. Okay, and so how does that happen? Not everybody has a mom and dad in their home. Okay, I said I didn't. Some of you didn't grow up in that traditional family, so it does. It does come down to the people we associate with in our life, in the environment. Maybe we have aunts or uncles. Maybe we have grandparents. Maybe we have mentors. For me, part of it was religion. Okay, religion. For me, I learned some things through my upbringing. Okay, some of it was through self-experience, as Johnny said. Maybe I learned something, I did something, and it just didn't feel right. Okay, so I had to think about why that happened and if I would do it again. So I think it's a combination of different factors, environmental factors, that affect who we are and how we end up as an adult. Okay, so when I think about this, the most important thing is, regardless of where the child gets these values from, it's important that they have these values. That's kind of the bottom line, because if they don't have these values, then it can create problems later on in life when they become an adult. Okay, so I think that's basically what I wanted to say. And it doesn't matter the type of family structure. Stability is important. One parent family that offers stability and unconditional love will always be better than a two-parent family where there's fighting, where there's conflict, where there's chaos. Okay. So, because the most important thing for a child, and for those that have children, this, and all of us were children, the most important thing is stability, emotional support, right? Unconditional love, etc., etc. Okay. So if we offer these things to our children, it doesn't matter whether you are a gay couple, a single parent, a grandparent. Okay. So anyway, that's all I have to say. Okay.
Thank you, Rick.
And and wait, one more thing. So as I brought up yesterday, because most of you were not here yesterday, I have an ex-sister-in-law she's lesbian, and she has had a female partner for 15 years, a long time. I've met her many times, and I actually like my ex-sister-in-law a lot. She's a good person. Okay, she has a lifestyle choice. Okay, that's her choice. I don't judge her. That's her choice. But my nephew, or one of my nephews, was partially raised in that environment. I used to wonder about that. Is that going to be an impact on him? How does that affect him and everything else? So, I at the end of the day, he's my nephew. I love him regardless. My ex-sister-in-law, that's her choice. I respect her choice. I'm not going to judge her. We should never, unless any of us are perfect, we should never judge anybody. And I don't think anybody here is perfect, as far as I know. So we should never be in a position of judging people, okay? That's their choice, and we should respect their choice, okay? And we can have our own opinion, okay? We can have our own opinion about that, and I respect your opinion. And again, it's so okay. Any questions?
Interesting.
Johnny, while I'm waiting for any questions, if there are any, I'll write down the order.
All right.
Okay, so I'll type it here so that way you guys know.
Do you want to hear the question about that you made speech short before?
Yeah, I'm asking if anybody has a question about anything I said. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not but I think Johnny, just keep continue, please. Later I can say.
Okay.
Right.
So okay. Well then, Johnny, here's the order: Bijan, Hiroki, Mariam, Thea, Siva, Fida, Amadeus, in the order that people joined us. Okay. And then Safe as well hasn't spoken. So
Okay.
let me write down Safe. Okay. So these are the people that haven't spoken. Okay. Safe. Let me write down. his
Okay,
name.
I have a question for you,
Okay.
Rick.
Sure.
Who in your family are you most alike, and why?
Go for it. Oh. Huh. Good question. I don't know how to answer that question. I think I don't think there is anyone I'm most alike. Maybe my uncle. And let me tell you why I give you that answer. I give you that answer because there are certain traits of my mom, I think, that I have, and she raised us, so maybe it's natural. She taught us growing up to be very compassionate towards people, to take responsibility for things. I think to be caring. She's the one that took us to church as a kid. So I think these aspects I learned from her, but. I think about my father, who, again, I was not around him a lot because he didn't raise us. But there are certain aspects. He was a very energetic. He always had really great ideas. He was always a thinker. He had a saying. I remember, there's places to go, people to see, and things to do. Okay, now never forget that. That was one thing that was like his mantra he would chant. Okay, and so I think in some ways I have some elements of him in me as well. Physically, I think I more closely approach my dad, but in terms of the emotional characteristics, I think I have more probably for my mom in terms of how to treat people, certain values I have. I think that's for my mom, and also from the fact of my religious upbringing. Not 100%, because again, but I think a lot of it was. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Rick.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
But I have the reason I mentioned my uncle. The reason I mentioned my uncle was because my uncle, who's retired from the Air Force, is very quiet. I tend to be, believe it or not, a lot of times I'm actually kind of quiet. Okay. Very private. And so there are certain characteristics, but yeah. So I don't think just one parent.
Excuse me, Rick. I want to ask that did he have encourage you in such a special approach?
Well, okay, so this is kind of okay. So let me say this because I think it might give some ideas about how. Okay, so I've always believed that at the end of the day, we are a product of many different things. We're a product of our experiences. We're a product of our environment. Okay, many different things in terms of that make us who we are. Okay, so for me, before my parents got divorced, my father really made me. He was a high achiever. Okay, very high achiever. That was his thing. Okay, he was a policeman.
Hmm.
Then he went from being a policeman to opening his business. Okay, but I
Mhm.
remember when I was learning baseball, he would make me go in the backyard and practice swinging a bat for 2 or 3 hours with the weight on the bat to make it heavier. Okay. I
My
remember,
God.
I remember, I mean, he was just really pushing really hard to succeed. Okay. So he was a very high achiever. Okay. So certainly, I think that had an influence on me. And he was willing to work very, very hard. Okay. He was a hard working man. Okay. Okay, on my mother's side, again, as I mentioned, she was a nurse. Okay, so she retired as a nurse. Okay,
Oh,
and she's always been a caregiver. I've always seen her throughout my life be somebody that helps other people. Okay, I don't care who they are, she will help people. Okay, and I see her strength. She's a very, very strong person. She raised three kids by herself. At the same time, she was getting her degree, her education, and raising three kids by herself. Okay, so I think from her, I got a sense of strength in turn learning how to be emotionally strong, even when things are really, really tough. Uh, I saw her go through, and my sister passed away because of a brain tumor. I saw, that no matter how hard that was on her, she still kept moving forward. That was her only daughter. So I think I look at both of those examples, and then of course, later on, I had other role models. I saw somebody in the military. When I was in the military, somebody I considered to be a role model. So I think we have these role models throughout our life. We don't only have them when we're kids. Okay, we have people that we look up to, that we aspire to be like sometimes because of certain things, and that's natural. Bijan, did I answer your question?
yes.
Okay.
Because you mentioned that your uncle, you have some, I uh I mean something got from your uncle, and it's
Yeah.
interesting that my uncle encouraged me
hmm
very much in my life
hmm
in comparison with my father.
I see. I see. Yeah. Sometimes, Bijan, I think that happens. If you talk to my nephew sometime, you'll find that, because I was around them a lot as they were growing up, because my brother was also a single father. I was a single father. My brother was a single father. Okay. So he helped me. I helped him. Okay. But with my nephews, I had a pretty large role with them. And I think that's for things they could not talk to their father about, they would talk to me about. They would say, "Hey, Uncle Rick, I have something. I'm afraid to tell my dad." I would say, "Okay, talk to me, okay?" And I think it's natural. I think that happens with a lot of families. So, okay.
For example, I remember that my uncle encouraged me for learning English alphabet. He gave me a piece of paper, and wrote English alphabet, and asked me that please memorize
hmm
and learned me to spell them very quickly as A B C D F G I J K L M N O P Q R S T U V W X Y Z.
Uh,
Yes.
well, yeah. Again, I think that different people throughout our life have different influences on us. There isn't just one person, I don't think, or one environment, because our environment could be different. We may be in a school environment where we're around teachers or around other students. We could be, for me, I started working when I was, a teenager, because when I went to Australia in high school as an exchange student, my mom didn't have a lot of money. She didn't have money to pay for me to join this program, so I had to work every day when I finished my classes at high school, washing dishes to earn money to be able to pay for my trip. So I think, again, certain things in our life instill upon us certain responsibility, these kind of things, you know. So, okay. Well, listen. If there's no other questions for me, I will step away. But I think right now, Johnny and Jamila, I told you who else is left. Basically, it looks like. So anyway, I told you who's left. So I'm gonna leave my computer on for now because I'm not leaving. I just need to do a few things before I go. Okay. But I want to tell all of you, and just to give you guys a heads up, we've lost a lot of people, but to give you guys a heads up, we'll still do the debate tomorrow. Now, myself, Johnny, and Jamila are, trying to come up with some ways that we will continue doing these sessions even while I am abroad next week. We're doing our best to come up with solutions, so just be patient with us, okay? Okay. So I'm gonna step aside for now. If there's no other questions, like I said, I'll keep this on because I'm not gonna go anywhere yet. But anyway, all of you, please take care of yourself. Be safe always. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna step away now.
Okay. Johnny?
Yeah.
Yes, so, yeah, I'm sorry, but I was not listening, so I don't know who was next. But I think we only have a few people. I think we have Hiroki, we have Miriam, we have Bijan, and Arnithia, right? Is that your name?
Mr. Safe. Mr. Safe.
Yes,
give
and
you the
Safe,
order on the
maybe, yeah.
chat.
He'll let us know
Yeah.
when.
You can call me
Yes.
Tia Jamila.
Tia, okay, Tia.
Yes.
Tia,
Sure.
Tia, yes.
Tia, that's lovely. I like it.
I think it. Tia, there.
Yes. So, let me just look at the chat because Johnny just posted the list. Okay, so Bijan, what do you think? I guess it's your turn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, it's very difficult for me because I can't make a comprehensive look in this topic because I have no exact and relevant data to prove my theory. But I can tell my real experience in relationship with some people who have conversation in my relatives and other people who are engaged in our workplace, my workplace, and other people in social networks. But I want to say that in my most of Iranians, I think I feel that they are breaking their reciprocal obligations very, very slowly, and I think that this is especially, I think, the daughters and young girls, educated girls. They really want to be free, and after education from university, they want to live very independent, and they want to have free relationship with other people, in opposite with their family demands, and they in many cases they don't agree to marry with their relatives. I mean their blood relatives. You know, I mean they prefer to marry with other strange people and make new experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that is these young people really ignore and opposite with religion and traditional approaches, and they don't want to have such official and traditional commands from their parents. And I know that some of these daughters, after education, they prefer to live together in, for example, 2 or 3 educated girls lives in an apartment together, because and some of them escaped from their family because they don't want to have any commitment to their families. I mean, the nuclear family is disappearing very slowly in our society. And because of some economic problems, many of single persons have no temptation for marriage. And this is one of the most important problems that these educated daughters want to live separately, because they have no idea to be happy, to experience happiness with another guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's my idea. It's just only my experience according to some real evidence.
Well, I think we made this argument a few days ago. I mean, this is the best thing to do when you don't have factual arguments. Just use your own personal experience. And I think that was interesting because I forgot to mention a lot of the points you just mentioned as they relate. I mean, I can relate so much because obviously we have very close cultures, right? So, for example, tradition wants that in most or in a lot of cases, you would, for example, marry someone from your family, a cousin or something like that, right? But nowadays, this kind of, I wouldn't necessarily call it value, is not necessarily praised by young people, right? So yeah, very interesting. So anyone have any questions for Bijan? Any questions? Come on.
Jamila, excuse me, I want to say something because I concentrate on, feminine sex, because I think the original, the core of nuclear family is based upon the feminine sex.
Female.
If if young girls have no approach to be mother, to accept the rule of mother in a society, the concept of family doesn't happen, does not happen.
Well, that's an approach. Yes, that's an approach. So you guys, do you have any questions for Bijan? Because he said a lot.
Yeah, I guess that would depend on what he means by
Were
family.
you listening?
I have a question.
Well, yeah.
So what's Bijan, what's your
Go ahead,
definition of a family? You say, if the female doesn't take on the role of being a mother, then there cannot be a family. So what is family for you? What is your personal definition?
I'm talking about the next generation of mothers. If these daughters have no temptation to do the as a mother, there is, because of course I should say that my cases depends upon our society, because I think according to my evidences, the Iranian guys have no temptation for accepting responsibility for marriage. They prefer to experience with too much daughters. For example, they simultaneously they have, for example, 3 or 4 girlfriends, and they want to have various kind of sex and emotional relationship. You know what I mean? If the daughters have no serious decision for confirming a nuclear family, it doesn't happen.
I have a question very quick, because I saw that term just a few minutes ago, and I was kind of hesitant to use it. So can you explain to the people here what you mean by nuclear family? Hello?
You are asking to Bijan,
with
right?
me?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
Oh, excuse me. I couldn't understand your question.
I said you used the term nuclear family. Can you explain to us what you mean by this?
Parents, a father, a mother, and a child.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about the child sex.
So this is what you mean?
Because in my country, of course my perception is according to Iran society, because in my country there is no legal laws for gay or lesbian approaches, and or transsexual peoples to have legal permit to make a family.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? For example, to lesbian have no choice to care from a child.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if no one has any question, I just have a comment, because through all your speech, I noticed that you were using, for example, in opposition to, opposite to, and in that context, I'd rather suggest using in contradiction or as opposed to, because you were saying, okay, in opposition to their families or to their religion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it would be better to use in contradiction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because in opposition does not necessarily mean the same thing as in contradiction. When you contradict, that mean you go the other way of something. But when you say in opposition, it wouldn't necessarily always mean contradiction. It can be, okay, you are on one side and I'm on the opposite side. It doesn't mean we are in contradiction. We are just on different sides, right?
Yes. You know,
Okay.
in my society, I mean in my society, some of the young people suffer of because they can't be free to live. I mean, free according their internal approach, because society limited them, and many of these limits, yes, and many of these guys or girls have underground life. You know what I mean? Underground life.
Yes, meaning hidden, not
Yes.
exposed. Yes, yes, yeah.
Yes, yes. Yes,
Well, I think
hidden.
it's the case in a lot of what we call conservative or less open societies. Because, for example, a lot of people would think that if you're a Muslim woman, you are virgin. But nowadays, a lot of women in conservative countries, they just are in relationships with guys. Of course, it's not like European girl would do, meaning that she would assume her choices, but they do anyways, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you, Bijan. That was interesting. I think you brought up a lot of new points that I didn't think of. So, who would like to go next, or we'll just go? I'll look to the list. So, who would like to go next? I think we don't have many people, so. Well, we lost Hiroki, and he was next. And Miriam, I think you are next, if you want to say something. Miriam? Are you there?
It may take time to unmute her microphone.
Okay. And
We also have Arnithia, or Thea.
yes, and I think it's pretty late for her. So if she wants to speak, yeah.
Okay, what about family? There's something that I want to give an opinion from one of the discussion about the mother's role in the family. One thing that I remember is how is in the family the way the mother transfer her culture or the family's culture usually to the girl. So when they grow up, the girl know their role as a woman and also as a wife in the future. Because I just want to stretch a point here that based on my relationship with my mother, and I see another my friends which are females with their mother, so I can compare my relationship with my own mother. My friends, they have maybe closer relationship with their mother, so there is things that their mother transferred to them, like how to become a wife in the future, how to grow up how to grow your children, to educate them, to teach them the morality, something like that, and how to be a strong mother, how to be strong in the and tough in a complicated situation, which some detailed things I didn't get from my mother, because me and my mother, we don't have this, very personal relationship. Like, I always telling her what happened to me, or she prepare me how to handle a marriage life, something like that, or how to deliver our culture, because I have different religions and cultures in my family. My mother is Christian, my father is Muslim, and my mother come from east part of Indonesia, which is more liberal, and like maybe Christian people, they are more, have a, I don't know, in my opinion, freedom to more freedom than the Muslim people, which are have a kind of very strict rules about their life. I mean, and my father is from West, which are Japanese. In Japanese island, they have very strong culture, like men goes first, and then as a woman, as a wife, we have to follow the husband, what they say. Like, there is a word even in Japanese people, like when your husband go to the heaven, you will go with them, and when your husband go to the hell, you will go with them. So it's like very very strict. So so I don't have a like cultural transition from my mother, because yeah, we have different cultures, and there's no 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 special cultures that my mother gives to me. So I think nowadays a lot of women, sometimes maybe they are more well educated, they are have a bigger vision in their life, and they are more modern. But I see that some of my friends, the female, they tend to delay their marriage. Used to, maybe in our country before 30, a lot of people, especially female, they are already married, but recently after 30 they are still delaying, and they don't have any passion to build a family. They are chasing their career, and they are more become independent. But I don't know if is this culture transferring is still doing by some women older women to the next generation, looking for this kind of condition. Like, most women here are working at the office. More women also. I mean, they don't want to spend their time in the family. So right now, husband and wife, they're both working, and the children are left with the nanny, the maid, something like that. So I have no idea for the next 20 years how is the family value existence will be available in each family. So that is what I see from one of the participants' topic, maybe Bijan. So it's like pop up in my mind. I think it's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Actually, that was very interesting. Because I think you grew up obviously in a very I would say interesting environment. So having you both parents with different religious beliefs, right?
Yes.
And I think you explained very well the difference. So would you say that because from what you said, it gives me a sense of I guess you were taught that maybe Islam, it's very, very conservative, right? Why with your dad, while your mother was much more open, right?
Yes.
Yes. So would you say that you took from both, or you
Yes,
were
I took
more?
from both.
Mhm.
I continue, Jamila, sorry.
No, no, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, there was, my husband is a Muslim, so before I got married with him, I haven't decided which religion that I'm going to take because, from my opinion, both religions are good, and there is no, special things that based on bad news about Islam. Then I judge my father's religion is not good. No, because I saw the examples from my uncles and aunties from both sides are good. So, what made me decide to choose Muslim is because I decided in my heart, whoever my husband is, whatever his religion, I will follow him as long as he can be a good imam. Maybe in Islam is said like that for me and my family. So I take both advantages from two cultures of my family, but what I feel because I grew up in that kind of family. Yeah, uh, in Indonesian, the eastern part mostly are Christian, and they are tend to more liberal and free rather than west part. So, yeah. So I learned the good things, more good things from both sides actually.
Well, this is good.
Mm-mm.
Interesting. So, do you guys have questions? Sophia? I hope you do.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well,
Johnny is in a questioning mood today. Go ahead.
Well, I guess my biggest question will be, what does that have anything to do with family?
Because like this, in my father's culture, Japanese people, they are very, they have this tradition, like, you know, prior, man goes first, and then the mother always mostly follow their husband, so they don't have a, they are not, they don't have any freedom. But in Japanese culture also, the mother, they give, the cultural transition to their daughters. So their daughters will be strong when they grow up as a wife. They are already prepared the mentality because it's not easy become a wife and become a woman and to raise children. Um, uh, and nowadays, that kind of things, to it's maybe because of modernization or the modernization, the globalization. Not many female as mothers that I see give a culture transition to their children. So to make balance in the, have a mother who run the role in the family, being wise, being, strong and able to educate their children. I assume in the traditional family roles, it's a good one. But recently, those kind of things with the mother, have their own career, something like that. That thing is, like not as strong as before. So there are many divorce, sometimes that happen that I see in my place because to become a mother you have to be strong. So sometimes women now they're more educated, they have their own ego or something like that, while in the family, that in traditional one that I watch, women tend to be more, let the, how to say, not give up, but how to say that okay, I appreciate your opinion and I will go with you, something like that. Is it's kind of missing. So they tend to think that both head is equal. Nobody want to give up. So so a lot of divorce happen in my country. That's what I see. So there is a less traditional family because divorce happen, and yeah, sorry, something like that.
Yeah, I still struggle to see the point. What does that have anything
Excuse
to
me.
do with
Thank you.
family? I mean, you were talking about just, relationships in general, preparing a woman for the role of being a wife. But I was talking about family, what would that impact the children? And leaving aside, what kind of role the mother wants their daughter to take on the future, just let's talk about family itself. What does have anything to do with family?
Yes, because for me, in my culture, in what I think, in my opinion, I mean, if you have a traditional family, it means a father who run the roles as a father and a mother who run her roles as a mother. So these days, those kind of things like blurring or more less than old traditional families. So because of that, recently the children now are different with the children that been raised in older generation. I think they are then more individual, something like that. So something like that maybe.
All right. Bijan, you wanted to say something?
Okay. Can I ask a question? Yes, I want to ask a question from here. Can I?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. I want to ask that is there in your country, the statistics of marriage is bigger than divorce statistic?
But the marriage is bigger than, excuse me?
Divorce.
Divorce. I don't have the statistic, but what I've seen recently that a lot of divorce happening in my family rather than when the previous before. So yeah, I mean divorce become a common thing that happened in my country recently.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, and I think we also have Daddy. We have a Daddy. I don't know what his name.
And we only have 10 minutes left, so yeah.
All right. Yeah, I think we can wrap up, unless this Daddy, I don't know what his name is, wants to speak.
Yeah.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Hello. Would you tell us your name?
I am speaking. In fact, yeah, my name is Shuaib. Shuaib.
Can you type it?
I don't know. CHOEOUIEB.
OUIEB.
Okay, let me try.
Oh gosh, so many vowels.
I am typing it. I am typing.
Okay.
Okay.
How do you pronounce that?
In fact, I am new here. It's first time I hear it. Shuaib. Shuaib.
Shuaib. Okay. Well, welcome, Shuaib.
What's that?
Shuaib.
I please.
Oh,
Thank
Not,
you. Thank you.
yeah, not one. There are two I. Okay.
It's difficult to pronounce it. Yeah, yeah. Not two. Shoe. Shoe.
Okay.
I know it's very difficult for native English speaker to pronounce it.
All right. So, what do you think about the topic, Joy?
Yeah, I just rejoined this, as we can say, it's a meeting or conversation. So it's my first time I rejoin your group and assist to this talking. Well, inside of family, the first thing to build a family, good family, we should have a responsible parents. So before marriage, they have, I think, to meet and to make the plan for their life, because you know it will be a life for the rest of your life. You know, you will share your life with this woman, and what we want and what I want to do with this woman. So I know. No, should be some characteristic in this woman, and this woman should choose his man, and she should. It's a question of choose. So you have to choose your partner, and what you will get after this life. I mean, the children. Children is I think, in my opinion, is the first target to get children and to grow up those children, and to give them good life, and to
Go on.
And I think it's not fair to think on the divorce and you are not married yet. So so the first thing and the principal thing is to be responsible, to be responsible to forget good family. So they have to be I don't know, responsible. Sorry for my English. I know it's very poor.
It's okay. It's okay. You're doing right. You're doing well.
Yeah, I cannot explain my idea in my head exactly. That's why.
That's okay. You are doing it well.
Yeah, because this is my first time. That's why.
All right. Are you ready for questions?
Question for my part?
A question for you.
Yeah. Sorry? Say again?
I mean, is it okay if we ask you some questions?
Yeah, go ahead. No problem. Go ahead.
All right. Jamila, do you have any question?
For me, okay, go ahead. Go ahead, please.
Well, I'm not sure I caught everything you said, and specifically the major point. So I'm not sure I can ask any specific questions.
Well, I think he said, one of the main reasons why people get together and get married is to have a family, to have a child. That's what I got.
Yeah.
That's the purpose.
I mean, before first thing is to be responsible in the parts of woman or man.
Yes. Yes.
Not married for fun, or not be married for sex, or not married for money, or married. So first thing should be love. For example, we should have love. As you said before, I was listening to you, and as you like criticizing the Muslims community, maybe I don't know. It's not a question of Islam. It's a question of tradition. It's tradition, because Islam don't forbid the relationship between woman and man, or he forbidden it in other manner. So before you marry with the woman, you can't know him, no problem. You can't know this woman. You can meet her with his family, or with there is steps to know this woman.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But if you know, if in the for example external in the Occidental countries, I know have freedom, but freedom without limits. I don't know. She can do anything with men, which in Islam is forbidden. In our community is forbidden. There is freedom, but we have limits. We have limits, you know. And this is before the. This is before marriage. But after marriage, I think there is no limit. They can live with all the respects, and all is depend of the personality of man, of woman. Is not depend of the religion. They can live with all things is allowed.
All right.
All things are allowed in inverse. I think is inverse. Islam, not the religion. I am not talking about tradition. Tradition, I know there is something wrong. I am talking about the religion itself. The Islam don't allow, for example, the man to betray his wife, and don't allow the woman to betray his husband.
Yeah, we would try to not speak about religion. So yeah, we got that point.
Yeah,
well,
we
I think
talking
John.
about, I talk about family. I'm just talking about family.
Yeah.
Family is not don't have any relation with religion.
Yeah.
It's question of personality of the both sides, and it's question of responsibility. You have to take your responsibility as man, as father, and you have to take your responsibility as mother and as woman. That's it.
Yeah. Well, I think it's very interesting what he said, because in a lot of cultures, and specifically when you go to the Middle East, North Africa, and even Asia, less, I would say. But there is a process, because we have steps. Like, you know someone, you date them. I mean, specifically in nowadays, dating is becoming more and more common, because they've noticed that telling your daughter that it's forbidden to have a boyfriend wouldn't make any good, because they would anyways. They would just hide it. So I think they are becoming more and more open to this idea, to the dating idea. So yeah, there is a process in our heads, meaning that you would know someone, you interact, you talk, you date, you get engaged, and you get married, and you have kids. So this is very natural for us. And
Well, you mentioned those countries, and you say in those countries there is a process. What did you mean by that? That countries that are not those countries, they don't have a process? Like just marriage and family just happen?
No,
So what do you mean by that?
No. Well, this is not what I meant. There is a process, but it's different.
But you say in
For
this
example,
country
in Europe,
they have a process.
Getting married is not.
So I understand. Therefore, in those other countries, they don't have a process. So I mean, where did you get that?
No, this is not what I meant. So I cannot explain that, because this is not what I meant. So I can explain what I meant. I said there's a specific process, meaning it's different, and I explained it. I mentioned the details, because if you go to Europe or other countries, marriage is not a priority for a lot of people. But for us, just like he said, to live together, to have kids, you have to get married. That's just natural for us, right? This is part of the steps. Mm-hmm. But here, for example, you can live together, or you can have kids, and then you can get married. So that's different.
Okay. So I mean,
Yeah,
you can
exactly,
say
yeah,
we have
yeah.
different
Yeah.
processes. You know, not that only those countries have a process, right?
Well, I don't believe I said that, but yes, yes.
That's how
We
you.
can say that in Europe, Occidental, they don't have any process.
No, no, no. It's not what you know.
Yeah, well, it sounded like that.
It's
Yeah,
different. The approach is a little bit different. The approach is different. Yes.
it's different. Yeah.
I think
Which
in this country, marriage is silent.
hmm?
Well, I have a question
What
for
did you say?
him.
Mm-hmm.
Chow, Chuaib. Sorry if I don't pronounce your name right.
Yeah,
My
yeah,
question is,
yeah. You are.
what would make you stop seeing or visiting your parents?
For me, you know, I cannot stop seeing my parents. First thing, my mother is living with me.
Mhm.
So
Your
big
brother?
building, and I make her apartments. So my mother, yeah. So it's
Oh.
near me all days. So all day.
Alright.
Anything she wants, I bring her. I don't let her spend any money. So it's like a child for me now. It's me who taking care about her.
All right.
Okay, and I love this life. So at least I can recover here or give her what she 1% what she did for me.
Mm-hmm.
And my father was died when I was a child, so I don't remember him. But now I am with she grew up. She grew up. My mother she take care of us. So now I am taking care of her. So nothing can stop me to or
All right.
stop me to seeing her or taking care of him. So
Okay.
it's our duty to do it.
All right.
Or in our let's don't speak about culture on our community is the duty of the child to take care of the parents when they become they take retirement or when they become older.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
I have another question, if you don't mind.
So if you understand,
May I?
go ahead, no problem.
Okay. What are the best and
Yeah, you
worst
can. Go ahead.
things, in your opinion, about small family and extended families? In your opinion, what are the best and worst things about them?
So it's if we take, for example, a small family, it will contain for sure father, mother, and maybe the child. And for the big family, so it will contain, I don't know, uncles and mothers, grandfather, grandmother. Each side have positive and negative things. So the more people, you will get more problem for sure. If you are in big family, you will get more. So maybe I don't know, small problem or silly problem about money, about but in our big how we said this, in big family, maybe will more people will take, will help you, they will take responsibility with you, they will support you, you know.
Are you sure?
But maybe in small family you will find, yeah, for sure, if they love you and it's really a family, they will support you. For me, for example, my I have 3 brothers, and I am working very far from my town because I work in oil field. So I stay maybe 1 month far away from my house. So I found lots of support from my brothers. So if I need something from other town, if I don't know, they get support from my child. But if you are in small country, small family, so maybe you will take all the responsibility. No one will praise you. No one will help you. So,
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah. I personally have to go, Johnny.
Sure.
And
okay.
So, if you want to stay.
Yeah. We are just wrapping up right now.
Other people the opportunity. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Jamila, for being around.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Sure. Bye. Bye.
All right. So, and we also have Raul. Hi, Raul.
Hello.
Hello,
Johnny.
Hello. So we are wrapping up now. We are almost finishing. Is there anything you would like to add to this conversation before we wrap it up?
No. I joined very late, so I wanted to listen only. I didn't want to interrupt. So I wanted to listen only.
All right. So we just want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity
Hello.
to speak. Hey, Mariam, you're back.
Oh, yeah.
Good, you can
hardly.
speak now. Good. And you're going to be the
I'm
last
so
one.
sorry. You gave me the chance.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No problem. Being late is
Yes.
better than not being at all.
Tell us
Okay.
everything what's in your mind.
What is the topic? Food. Okay. Okay. Family for me is security, and I heard many of you given the values that are taught by my family, and I agree with most of them that they have to learn as responsibility and how to be, I don't know, compassionate and affectionate, these things. Okay. But something I want to point out too is in some cases family can be really supportive, as they may all of people think. Sometimes they hold you back.
Right.
And the problem is that they do this not because they want to protect you, or but because Can you wait a minute, please? I'm so sorry.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Go ahead.
Yes, I was saying that sometimes they are not supportive, not because they want to protect you, but because if, for example, they tell you don't do this, you think that when you're not conscious, you think that they are trying to protect you. But if you are really mature enough and think about it, you find that they fear that people will say that the daughter of that man or the son of that man is doing this and this. So they are fearing that what people will talk. Okay, they are not trying to protect you, actually.
They try to protect themselves. Yeah.
Yes, so they are really, their reputation. So they are supportive. They provide security. It is the most important thing that for me they do is providing security. Family doesn't always give affection, not
Right.
not necessarily.
Right.
And someone who is growing up in a healthy family, can called healthy family, is not uh we don't always expect from him or her to be good. Doesn't mm, mm, it is
Doesn't
not
give you
necessary.
guarantees that the person
And
will
vice
be
versa
good,
also,
right?
someone is growing up. Yeah, exactly, this is what I want to say.
Right.
Yes, I think that's all I can talk about. This is my problem. So brief.
That's
You can ask
good. That's
me.
good. I mean, you have a very good point there, and I agree too with some of the things you say. Just because you have mommy, daddy, brother, sisters, uncle, it doesn't mean they're all going to support you in everything you do, everything
Doesn't
you
mean
say.
yeah.
And yes, reputation in some part of the world is
Yeah.
very important. They try to be careful about what people would say if you have a daughter or son who does certain things. So it's like they may not care too much if it is something that you want to do, it's something that makes you happy. They will take care, what the consequences will be for them in terms of their reputation. So yes, sometimes they can hold you back, or sometimes they can
So rather
manipulate you.
than giving me the freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah, the problem is not there. The problem is that the reason behind this is not to protect me. This is the problem, where the reason behind is not to protect me, is something else. If you are doing this for me, I mean, your purpose is to protect me. I'm agree. I'm okay with this. But if you do this, feeling people to talk about this, or feeling about your reputation, which doesn't matter actually, because if if you
Has
give
nothing to
me
do with
my
you.
freedom, yes, um, okay, I can talk now personally. In my family, I don't have the freedom. I mean, I try to be. I'm so different from my environment, totally 100% different.
Right.
And this is like living torn between two things. Myself and my environment, and okay, which is same. My family, my environment is I don't know, so narrow-minded, and it doesn't give me really my freedom.
Right.
So, family, and family also can be not just your parents. You can have family with friends.
Right.
Having friends that understand you, is also family.
Right.
Having also, yes, sometimes your uncles or your friends can be a good family for you, better than your real family, because your real family, I think in cases they just feel like they have to give you orders, because they have uh, power on you.
Over you.
They are showing themselves over you. Yes.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Can I talk to Miriam?
Sure. Just want to make one clarification. It's like it's quite ironic, when you say your real family. So then, if we go back to the definition of family, we see that we can see some definitions that is not about blood. It's about the bond that you develop with some people. And if that is the case, I mean, if a family, if someone with who you develop these strong bonds, and then they become your family, So then the word real actually applies to them, because they are your real family, actually, because that's the definition of a family. So it becomes a little bit ironic, when we say real family. Go ahead, Arnithia.
Yes, and sometimes you can have. Uh, does anyone have a question or something to say?
Yes, I have a couple of questions,
Yeah,
but I will
I
let
think.
Arnithia say what she wanted to say.
I, yeah. Sorry. Um, maybe
Are you asleep? I need your wake up.
it's already 2 o'clock and I'm hearing the cat's noise surround
Yes,
me.
she's calling us from the dreams.
Okay, Miriam, it's quite sad to hear that you don't have freedom from your family, but maybe just another opinion. Sorry, they are yes, they are trying to uh, protect your family name from things that they don't want something bad happen to the family name. But I do believe that they are still love, care, and tender, and they think they are trying to
I
protect
didn't
you.
deny this part. Yeah,
Yeah,
I do
they're
agree. Yes.
trying to protect you from things that they are worried happen to you, because maybe based on their own private experience in their life. I don't know what, but maybe something that they think they're trying to protect you trying to protect it happen on you. But I still believe it's wrong, because we have our own freedom. If you, I think it should back to yourself how you should handle the situation, and keep the relationship okay, but still can have your what you want to do still can be done. So it's difficult. It's easy to say, but it's difficult, I think. And yeah, uh, I think still blood is thicker than water. So mostly, not always, right? But mostly, for me, no matter what happened, maybe I made mistake, maybe I, I made something that might make my parents sad or worried. They are still there for me, but I'm not sure if the same condition applied with friends or relative that sometime sometimes feel close to us, but then when something happen, they can leave us just like that. But family, mostly, from my opinion, will be there for you. How far you go across the world, how big mistake that you have done to the family, or you know, uh, make them sad or worry. They are still be there for you. So it's up to you on to how you to strive your independence, because I'm thinking no matter what you do, you strive for your freedom, and maybe it will make them sad or angry, something like that. But I still believe that a family will be there for you. Either it's your mother or your father or your brother or your sister. That is my opinion.
Yes, and as I told you, I didn't deny this. I still think that family is security, love, and these things. Yes, I'm okay with this, and I know, but I pointed to some other things that family are not supportive in, like the point that I mentioned. This is my fault. I
Yeah.
didn't say that they don't have love for me, or they may leave me, or they don't care. But but I don't look uh, honestly and personally, I don't look always to the concept of family as totally perfect, something perfect that I can find love and care and everything in there. No.
Yeah, we cannot get
Still
the
have
whole
things
package.
that, yeah.
So I have a question for you. What do you think in a family? What kind of values that each member of the family should have?
Should have
Mhm.
each
I
member.
mean, each member of the family. What kind of the family values
First is
each member of the family should have?
and thing honesty and respect. As simple as that. Yes, and not everything is taught in the family also.
Of course.
Yeah, because for me, here everyone is narrow-minded, but I'm not. See, I didn't learn this from my family. They didn't teach me something like this, but it is about me. When a person is mature enough to to be, I mean, he is able to think different. He can build his own personality, his own values. Yeah,
That's
far
why you
from
have to go for it. You strive for it. You have I mean, if you have something that you want to do outside your what maybe your family do not like it because they have their own criteria, but because it is something that you have to fight for. So yeah.
yes.
All right. So,
Um,
anybody
actually, they are not
else?
giving me freedom, but okay. Go.
Anybody else have any other
Johnny,
question
do you have
for
any
Miriam?
questions?
Rashid?
Don't be shy, please. You can ask.
Chuaib, Raul.
Yeah. A question, a question to Mariam. Did you hear me well or not?
Yeah, I'm asking if
Yes.
you have any question for her.
Who's this? Rashid?
Yeah, did she trust his family if they advise her or if they forbidden her for doing something? So
Trust
I
them?
think they want the good things for her. So she said that they cut from his freedom. I don't know, maybe for
What I
bad
pointed
thing.
to is not the fact that they are limiting my
For
freedom.
her.
This is not the point that they do limit my freedom, but my point is that the reason behind this is not to protect me. It's not for my sake. Okay? Did you
Okay.
get my point? This is the point that I wanted to highlight. That the reason behind this is not my protection, is not to save me from this and this, is not to protect me from this and that, is something else that has nothing to do with me. If, for example, I want to go and study in another city, or I want to go and visit my friend, it is what will happen? Nothing will happen, right? But they do because they don't want people to say that, look, Mariam is the son of someone, she's going here and there, she will go there to another city and live alone and and and. So this is not for my sake. If it is for my sake, they will leave me. Yes, she will go to another city. She will meet new people. She will learn how to handle responsibilities. She will know how to manage her own life by herself. So they don't look to this side. They create by themselves. They create a dark side and look from it. This is my point. It's not about limiting the freedom. It is behind the reason behind this. Clear?
Clear, yeah.
Thank you.
Right. So I have a question for you, Mary. If nobody else has any. Nobody? All right.
Okay.
Mary, my question for you is, in your opinion, I mean, for the things you have seen around you your entire life, what are the most common reasons for family to fall apart?
Mm-hmm.
If you know what fall apart means.
Not being successful, you mean? Not being good family, right? To fall apart means to be broken like this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So what are the most common reasons for families to fall apart?
And this is what I mean. I think lack of trust. This is the main thing that I see. Yeah. If you don't trust me, we can't go ahead. Things will quickly fall apart, as you said, when there is no trust between me and my dad, between my dad and my mom, between my mom and us. Yes.
And respect?
Try to ask me more because I'm so brief. Respect. Yes, respect.
Respect. So
yes, respect. Also, but I think the most important point is trust.
Okay. Lack of trust and lack of respect. Okay. Yes, Arnithia?
Yes.
How about ego? Sometimes it can, someone who stand for their own ego, so nobody wants to, how you say it, give up, something like that. I mean, ego sometimes,
giving, I think.
Make everything.
People don't want to give in. It means, they are stubborn.
Yeah, giving something like that.
They are not flexible, it is
Yes,
the way
because
they want it.
family also need to be compromised, right?
Right.
Yeah. You have to do what I want. The father said, the mother said, you do what I want. So if everybody in the family saying like that, okay, no solution.
Right. Yeah, it's giving. Yes. When you give in, it's like when you are flexible. It's say, okay, you can see, When you say, no, I want this in my way, or it is the way that I think, and I don't accept any other comment, or whatever you want me to do, I will not do it because this is the way that I think, this is my value. It's when you are stubborn, and by the way, being stubborn is not always a bad thing. Sometimes it's a good thing. For example, let's take just the example of Miriam that had before. When if she wants to go to a different city to pursue her dreams or to pursue a better education, and she knows that if she can pull it off, I mean, she can do it. It will help her future a lot. But her family is a little bit hesitant, and they have their own fears, and they try to hold her back and try to manipulate her so that she can change her decision. It would be good for her if she would be a little bit stubborn about that, because in the long run it will help her, and then she can in the future show to her family that she was right. And being stubborn was something good, So being stubborn sometimes is positive.
And they have to rethink about their
right.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So
I think. I want to say most.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I think in some cases we have to maybe the word rebel is not the right word, but maybe, as I said, it's stubborn because we want to show them that they are not always, parents are not always right.
Right.
They are not always right. Sometimes they see things different. Yes.
Right.
So being stubborn to some extent is
It's positive.
the way they treat us.
Yeah, sure. Who is it, Fida?
Yes, yeah.
Yes, hello.
Oh, welcome.
Hello. Well, thanks.
Hey, مرحبا بيك جاية توا. How are you?
Thank you. So I'm fine. What about you?
I'm fine too.
Yes,
I'm
so
not the last one, Johnny. I'm not the last one.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
but I'm not sure if we have
unfortunately,
time.
I couldn't be with us.
Go ahead, Fida. Continue.
Yes. Can I know about your topic? What are you talking about?
We are still talking about the same thing.
About family?
Yeah.
Family in general. If you have some specific points you can talk about.
Sorry, Mariam. Can you repeat, please?
I said the theme is family, and if you want to talk about some specific points, you can.
Okay.
But I don't know. Johnny said that we're not sure if we still have time or not, because I think the session finished or about to finish.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. I'm not the coordinator here.
She can give her point, and let's see what she says. Fida?
Okay. We are all ears, Fida.
So, what I should say about family?
Yes. Talk from your own perspective, from your experience from family.
My experience in my family.
What do you think about your family? Johnny, ask her.
Yes, I have a specific question that maybe that will make you start. Tell me, Fida, can anyone just be a good person or have good values or just be a normal person, and let's not talk about what normal will be. Can anybody just turn out fine if he or she didn't grow up in an ideal family? Ideal means, having a lovely mother, a lovely father, supporting siblings, and a good education, a good city. If a person didn't have all of that all together, can still be a good citizen, a good person, or what?
Okay. So, I think that parents in general play a big role in that point.
Mm-hmm. How?
So yeah. So how we should live in a lovely family, in a good environment, in any family. To have we should have how to say that. So I need something about my mom, and I need to some things too about my dad.
What things?
So each of them play things. For example, for my mom, mom in general gives to her kids affection, love, advice.
And why do you need that?
She is. So I need that. So he gave me that. He gave me much affection, much love, and advices. But now, actually, I miss all of those things in general because my mom was passed away, and I feel her absence really.
Sorry
But
to hear that.
so I try to, yeah. So this is life, and I try in my family to um, to continue to so to play the role that my mom was how to say that.
To continue doing what your mother was doing with you, right? Or behaving in the way she was behaving, right?
Yes, and so now I play the role of the mom in on my family, and I have my dad. We are like friends, and he is a good father for me. Um, he takes now the place of my mom and dad and brother and and all in general, and we are a happy family. We help each other, we trust each other, we communicate between us.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
All right. So
Yeah.
you said before you need it, and I asked why you need. I mean, what makes you think that you need it? What happens if you don't have it?
You need have it what?
Love and affection and support.
So we need to keep so to have a balance in life. We need to be supported, to have love, to be loved by our parents. We need that. We are
Why?
human, and we need to have why.
Don't be so tough.
Mm-hmm. So you say we need because when you say
Why?
we
Because
need,
we
it
are
means you can't live without. And I'm asking, what makes you think that you need it? What makes you think that you can't live without it? What would happen if you don't have it? Tell me the consequences if you don't have it.
okay. If I don't have it, it's okay. I should be patient, and I should be I should
Mm-hmm.
appreciate what I have.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, if I can have more, I don't say no, of course. But
Mm-hmm.
if I haven't,
Mm-hmm.
I should be patient and appreciate what I have.
All
That's all.
right. So you actually don't need it. You just like it, right? Because if you say you need it, it means you can't live without. You will die, or something bad will happen. Although, that's why you say I need it. But if you say, well, I can still,
Okay.
live
I
without
want.
it and do it on my own, so you actually don't need it. You just like it, right?
Okay. Okay.
You agree?
Yes, I do agree with
All
sure.
right. All right. So okay. So if you agree, then we wouldn't say we need it. We just, it would be nice to have it, but we can still have those things from somebody else. Like, when I was speaking before, I was mentioning that point too, and some other people also mentioned that. When even if you don't have your lovely supporting mother, lovely supporting father, or siblings, or uncle, or whatever, you can still have those things from somebody else. It could be a friend, it could be, I don't know, a teacher, it could be your love partner. I mean, you can still have those things. And even if you don't have, it doesn't mean you will become a bad person, or an angry person, and you would do damage in the world. Even if you don't have it, you can still be, well, it could be a productive member of society. Not necessarily to be productive, but productive. But it means you won't be necessarily a bad person. you can still be a good person. All right. And we lost Marion again. Nice to see you, Shoaib.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's trying to sleep and we don't let him sleep. Right? Oh, yeah. These people talk and talk and talk and talk.
No, I am interested. So the topic is my first time I assist to this conversation, and I get a hard day working, and I am English learner also. So first my first day I get too much word and I get benefit. Thank you for your help.
Well, I'm glad that you enjoyed it, and we do this every weekend, Friday and Saturdays. On Wednesday and Thursday, we have IELTS preparation sessions, where we have reading sessions, writing lessons, speaking lessons. We have it twice in those days, depending on your time zone. You can either join one or the other. We listen to people and we give them feedback.
I didn't know this.
Sorry?
That's good. I didn't know this before, so I will try to be with you as can I
Sure.
As can I can.
Sure. No problem. Yes, you can. If you are in those group, if you're not, we can add you, and whenever you see the call, you can join and see, what we do, and if it is helpful for you, you can join us more often, and hopefully your skill will increase. Will get better.
In fact, I joined this show see the call and I get in.
Exactly. Well,
I want to thank you another time.
That's okay, and thank you for joining and being patient. And I want to thank all of you. Thank you, Rashid. Thank you, Jirakan. Thank you, Fida. Thank you, Raul. Thank you, Rick. I know you're not there, but thank you anyway. And all the other people who were here before, thank all of you. We are going to end now this session. I hope to see all of you tomorrow. We will also